All right. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome into the wild card preview edition of the Batter Up podcast, sponsored by the Dugout of Millwood here on the Sports Vicinity Network. Mike, the old ops guy, and our boy for the first few minutes, Danny Boy Reginald. Gentlemen, happy playoffs. How are we on this wonderful and glorious October 1st?
Oh, I'm stoked for the playoffs. Um, I'm planning on doing a live stream, and I don't know if y'all can join, but because I want to watch the wild card, I want to react to it. I don't know when, but it's gonna be a pop-up session. So, you're watching us on the YouTube right now. Stay tuned because you never know when I might just call an audible, as I would call it, and go live.
Boom.
Boom.
You know.
Yeah.
Hopefully today, if not today, definitely by the division series. I will be doing some live streams because I want to react and I want you to see y'all. I want y'all to see my reactions to these playoffs because you know how excited I get with baseball playoffs. The Yankees are involved, by the way, but
Yes, they just don't play until Saturday.
so for now I'll be repping the Washington Nationals as I say RIP to their season. Um,
Let's be honest, you did it to on in memoriam of Patch. Let's be brutally honest.
yeah.
All right, Mark, after what happened yesterday, how are you?
Well, well, if you don't know what that 6.7 earthquake on the Richter scale was that came out of Lower Westchester County, New York, that was me. Oh my God. Only the Mets can do this to Mets fans. Did they get us going? And then, of course, you know what? Let's tease them a little more. Let's cut that string. Let's make them want it even more. And then even more is what we got. After that game, I just said, okay, okay. I'm not writing this one. We're voicing this one. So,
Yeah.
how am I doing? I am ecstatic.
All right. Well, so if you don't know what Mark is talking about, last week, due to Hurricane Helene, the Mets and the Braves were supposed to play a 3-game series. They played one game on Tuesday night, Wednesday, and Thursday, washed out, which meant a doubleheader was played the Monday after the regular season was supposed to end. So there were storylines that followed. If the Mets won one game, they're in the playoffs. If the Atlanta Braves win a game, they're in the playoffs. If either team sweeps the doubleheader, the team that sweeps it is in, and the Arizona Diamondbacks are in the playoffs. So, with that being said, we go into game one. Spencer Schwellenbach dealt for the Braves. He was fantastic through 7 innings. Then the Mets bats came to life in the eighth inning, led off by a Tyrone Taylor double, and capped off by a 2-run home run by Brandon Nimmo. The Mets go up 6-3 in the bottom of the eighth, or in the top of the eighth. You're thinking, okay, the Mets are in a good spot. Then you had a classic Edwin Diaz moment where he completely melts down in the bottom of the inning, capped off by an Ozzie Albies bases clearing double. The Braves lead 7-6. Then, because the Braves used Raisel Iglesias in the top of the eighth, they did not have him for the ninth inning. They used Pierce Johnson, who is no Paul Pierce or Pierce Brosnan, whichever way you want to go
Mm.
with that. Gives up a base hit to Starling Marte, and then
It felt like a Michael K call for a
the
second.
the everyone keeps using the term the Mets MVP. I was going to look for something different, but you can't say anything different because without Francisco Lindor, the Mets aren't in this spot.
Yeah.
Lindor, it's a 2-run homer. Mets take the lead 8-7. Bottom of the ninth, Edwin Diaz comes back out to much of the chagrin of myself. Gives up a hit. Carlos Mendoza comes out. You think he's taking him out. No, Edwin Diaz stays in. And Mark, I don't know about you, because this was full circle for me. The final lap of game one was former Met Travis d'Arnaud, who we all know has killed the Mets ever since he left. And I don't know about you. This isn't personal. Travis d'Arnaud is a guy I'm not particularly fond of, just based on what he ever did for the Mets and what he does against the Mets.
Oh. I held my breath. I believed, I still believed. Oh my God. We're here, baby. We're here.
Yeah, just like the Wyatt family was here. We're here.
Yeah, it was inevitable. The Mets went on a massive run. I know they scared you because the Mets.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
They always do. They're the Mets. They're like the Jets. They'll tease you, then they'll suck, and then when it comes to the bigger games, they'll blow in. They'll make you think, well, they're screwed. They're terrible. They'll never do anything big in life. But this is a different season for the Mets, and I think their run throughout the summer and down the stretch in September, it was inevitable. We just didn't know how they were going to be seated. Now we know that they're sixth. So it was one of those things that you just had to be patient about. And they got a gift. They got a gift. Arizona struggled down the stretch. They didn't win their games they're supposed to. Mets did. And here you go. You're in the wild card round, and then you're ready to face off.
Who knows from there? But
yeah,
we were talking about this before we hit the go live button, and I was like, Mark, if they had lost that game one, I'm going, man, they're gonna lose game two because this took everything out of them.
Yeah.
And we were gonna, and to have it happen in all places. Atlanta, because that is where all of the bad things that happened to this franchise happen. But to get a win like that, to see Steve Cohen out on the field after the game, hugging Edwin Diaz, hugging Francisco Lindor. Here's where I'm going to give credit to three people. And I'll get into the player perspective in a few minutes. Steve Cohen and David Stearns deserve credit because they believed that this was at least a team that could compete for a wild card all year. Yeah, even before the season started, they believed.
Yeah.
The job Carlos Mendoza did. First year, a team with a high payroll, a team that at the end of May was 11 games under 500, and his steadiness, he was so even keel throughout the year. I gotta tell you, I do think the Mets made the right choice here at manager, because I think Carlos Mendoza did, even though I don't always agree with the moves he makes. That's every fan. Enough. That's every fan. He's done a very good job. He'll probably finish second in National League Manager of the Year voting behind Pat Murphy, which is fine. But he was excellent. And I thought he was excellent yesterday, too. He pushed Tylor Megill an extra inning or two. Mm-hmm. He didn't use a high leverage reliever really in game two of the doubleheader. He used Joey Lucchesi and Husker Brazoban. Very smart in how he used his bullpen. Your thoughts there?
In the game, you can't deny what Schwellenbach did. It was like watching Matt Harvey for the Mets. during that one game, watching him pitch. Even remind me of Pedro to the Yankees. Yeah, pitching to the Yankees that game, and they left him in one more. And it's not that the Braves left him in one more; he was still thriving. It was when they took him out, is when the Mets really took advantage. The Mets, also, Miguel, 5 and 2/3 innings, 8 home runs, 3 earned runs, 8 home runs, 8 hits, 3 earned runs.
8 runs. That would be good. We'd still be
Yeah.
playing.
That was a good start by him.
Yep.
That is a good start in baseball. Ottavino pitched a good inning. Phil Maton collapsed. He had been pitching very well. Edwin Diaz collapsed, but was told, get out there and throw the goddamn ball over the plate. And he did just that to get them out.
I thought this was interesting. Diaz at post game after the Lindor homer, he told Mendoza, I'm going back.
And I believe it. And I think he knew that he was given a second chance.
Yeah.
And he wasn't going to blow it.
Yeah, listen, they found a way to win game 1. Game 2, the Braves win 3-0. Here's my concern for the Braves. It's the Chris Sale stuff.
Yes.
Because they keep...
Why are you pushing him back? Like, what's going on? What are they not telling us?
And then it comes out before game 2, back spasms.
Yeah.
And I'm going to myself, it's tricky because now there's talk he's not going to be on the wild card roster.
Spasms now? Like, you have a game.
Yeah, you got to figure that. Let me see if they've released the roster. I know the Mets did. But that's a tough blow there. Well, because Chris Sale, who should be the Cy Young Award winner, the National League,
definitely am running for it.
That's gonna be a tough one if they can't get Chris Sale right, and get him to be on this roster to at least pitch out of the bullpen. I can understand not starting because you don't want to pitch with back spasms, but if you can't go an inning or two off the bullpen to try to help out a little bit, I'm gonna have a really tough time believing in the Braves. They're facing the Padres, so it's like Padres are a good team. It's gonna be a tough one. I don't know.
Yeah. So right now the Braves have not released their wild card roster, so we do not know if Sale's going to be on there. But
sometime soon, you would think.
Yeah, I've still got Twitter open, so we'll see if that happens over the next little bit while we are live. So, but man, what a day yesterday was! What a stretch run it's been. And by the way, if you're the Mets and the Braves, you don't even get a day to relax because you get to travel to Milwaukee and San Diego respectively.
And there was the quick champagne pop, third, get clean, get out, go. Was it?
Yeah, they even celebrated with the Braves on the field.
Yeah, they group celebrated.
They group celebrated because they knew they all had to get their ass to the airport.
Yeah.
Get me to the plane on time.
Party on the plane.
All
right.
Party like a rock star.
All right, that sets up today. All 4 wild card series start today. Starts at, I believe, 2 or 2:30 with the Tigers and the Astros. By the way, a little note, Justin Verlander, not on the Astros roster for the wild card. Now, before people go all jump up and down, they could change that between the wild card and division series. Whether they do or not remains to be seen. I'm going to presume they will.
He has not had a good season.
He has not had a good year. No,
it's not a good year for him. So I think it's smart. You get your best guys out there, and that's tough. And that's tough to say.
Yeah, that future Hall of Famer.
That's a tough one to say.
Yeah. Well, So we start Astros and Tigers. It'll be Framber Valdez versus Tarek Skubal, who should be the American League Cy Young Award winner since he won the Triple Crown, led the league in wins, ERA, and strikeouts. But Mark, the Tigers have been the hottest team in baseball for the last 3-4 weeks. The Astros have the pedigree.
You know, this is, I hate to say the word trap. This isn't a trap. The Detroit Tigers didn't squeak by. They earned their spot in the playoffs. Tyree Skubal has been one of the best pitchers in baseball, and I truly agree that with Mike that he will be the AL Cy Young Award winner. But however, this is the Houston Astros. And when you close your eyes and you just think of what that lineup is, forget about the pitching right now. That lineup is capable of producing runs when they are on. They started off colder than the friggin' Antarctic, and now they're living in tropical Bermuda. I'm telling you, don't count out Houston here, but don't anyway count out Detroit either. This is going to go all games.
This to me is the most intriguing series because you have one of the hottest teams in baseball right now, Detroit Tigers. But then, of course, you have the Houston Astros. Look, they lost a lot of players, but they still have players that have been there, done that. So I'm looking at this series and I'm thinking it would be nice to see all the chaoses come in. And you know me, you know that I celebrate everyone sweating it out. I would love nothing more than the Detroit Tigers to kick the ass of the Houston Astros and get them out of the wild card series. And just because I'm sick and tired of Houston. That's all.
Honesty always rises above.
Listen, here's the very interesting point. Who knows these Astros players, though, better than the manager of the Detroit Tigers, A.J. Hinch, who was the manager of the Astros and then got suspended based on what happened in 2017. He's been in this moment. The players in Detroit have never been in this moment, but A.J. Hinch has.
And A.J. Hinch knows the moment. He may not have the players, but he knows the moment.
Yep.
And this is something that Detroit could really learn. Even if let's say they lose, it's a great learning experience.
100%.
I don't know how Skubal's going to pitch in the playoffs. I have no clue. He could have a terrible playoff performance.
Or he could throw 8 scoreless today.
Exactly.
The other side of the coin, look, this Astros lineup is fully healthy.
Yes.
We believe Yordan Alvarez is going to play, but
it was never in doubt they were going to.
Altuve, Bregman, Kyle Tucker's back.
Yes.
Time hitters. Too.
They've got the lineup. They got a guy on the mound today in Framber Valdez. You talked about not being afraid of the moment. Framber Valdez has had great postseason starts in his career. I mean, career-wise, he's got an ERA a little bit over 4, but he's had some big starts, too, in the playoffs. If there's one team in the American League I want no part of in the playoffs, it's the Houston Astros. Because of their pedigree, because of their mindset ever since the scandal first appeared. Yes. And, people are going to boo them out of every ballpark, which they don't really care for. But that's fine. They play with a chip on their shoulder. And there's just there's something about this core. Argument's sake, and because Bregman's a free agent after the year, remember the old Last Dance Michael Jordan Bulls?
Mm-hmm.
This could actually be the Astros' last dance, just based on Bregman. Justin Verlander could retire after the year. Who knows? So, all right, Mark, who do you like in the series?
I'm pulling for Detroit, but as proper thing, yeah, I'm going to see Houston win this one, but it's going all games.
So Houston in 3.
Yes.
All right. Dan.
Um, I'm gonna say Houston. I think they win in 2.
Yeah, I'm with Dan. I think Houston wins it
But
too.
but that doesn't mean I don't believe in the
No,
Tigers.
no.
And it doesn't believe no, doesn't mean that. I just think that at the end of the day, it's experience over.
Mm-hmm.
And as much as AJ Hinch, World Series champion, it's really hard to take a very young team that has no idea what it's doing and
Hmm.
take a team that's been there, done that.
So the winner of this series will go to Cleveland, play the Guardians of the ALDS. The winner of the other American League wild card, the Royals and the Orioles, will go and play the Yankees, who are the top overall seed in the American League. Just a quick note: the Astros won 4 of 6 against the Tigers. But jumping into Royals Orioles, the Royals look like they're going to get their first baseman back, Vinny Pasquantino. I butchered that. I apologize.
You
Uh,
recovered
according,
nicely.
according to Jeff Passan, he's expected to return. That should boost the Royals lineup that had been scuffling down the stretch.
Right.
But the Orioles were 4-2 against the Royals
Yeah.
in 2024. I gotta tell you,
The Orioles are they're not that good though.
no, I'm with you.
So the Royals should have some confidence
The
going.
Royals got a shot here.
Like Kansas City should have some confidence in here.
The way they've been playing over the last week, absolutely.
You know, look, look, Baltimore, they have a lot to prove, right? Kansas City, this is house money. That's the way I see it. House money
Yeah.
against the Orioles.
Well, we all said it at the beginning of the season. The Orioles were going to be in this position, whether they win the AL East or they are in the first wild card position. We knew this is where Baltimore was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
I had high expectations on the Royals this year, and I'm happy they're there. But if you're asking me in the last 2 weeks of the season, who's the hungrier more team? I can't believe I'm going to say this as much as I wrote about Baltimore. It is the KC Royals.
Well, the Orioles shot themselves in the foot twice. First time was when the Yankees had that 2-month stretch where they couldn't get their heads out of their rear ends. The Orioles didn't pull away in the AL East when they should have. Part 2, trade deadline. I needed a big time starter to pair up with Corbin Burns, and all you got was Trevor Rogers. Are you serious? That's not, and their bullpen's been in shambles all year. Lineup's great, but they're all young hitters. They're going to struggle at some point.
They took too long to DFA Kimbrel.
Took way too long on that. And by the way, I still wish the Mets had put a claim in on Craig Kimbrel, but that's a whole nother conversation. But at the same time, it's just, I'm so excited about the future of the Orioles. But when you're there now, you got to take advantage of that situation. You can't just hug all these prospects. And to give up top prospects for a guy like Trevor Rogers just didn't make any sense. If you're going to go big, you got to go big.
Yeah.
We talk often about this was the only guaranteed year the Yankees had Juan Soto. Well, this is the only guaranteed year the Orioles had a Corbin Burns.
Yep.
And we don't know what the future holds for him. He could stay. We don't know. That's the frustrating thing about the Baltimore Orioles because they had an opportunity and it feels like they just let it slip away.
Correct.
But listen, we got a ton of young talent in this game. Bobby Witt, Gunnar Henderson, Adley Rutschman. This series could be a lot of fun.
Ryan Mountcastle.
Mountcastle. The list goes on and on and on.
Yeah.
But I like the Royals. I think the Royals starting pitching, Seth Lugo, Cole Reagans, and whoever they want to go in game 3, whether it's Michael Waka or whoever else they want to go with. I like the Royals more than I do the Orioles.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the Orioles to lose. Give me the Royals to win this one, baby. I am so pumped up for Casey. You have no idea. They're the younger team.
Yep.
And look, they're not the most surprising team. That's the Brewers. But they're a team that honestly could get a run for their money. And yeah, I don't like the Orioles. I really don't.
Yep.
I lost all confidence in the Orioles when the Yankees won the American League East. All confidence. How in the world do you not take advantage for the team that you assembled? And you assembled it by buying and trading and everything. And the best you can do is the first wild card. That's a shame. Real shame.
Cue up the Seinfeld meme of that's a shame.
Give me the Royals to win and get those Balta frauds out of the playoffs.
Balta frauds. Ooh boy.
Oh, that was a shot.
We got name calling going on. Mark.
Royals.
Okay.
Royals win this one. As I said, I backed Baltimore all the way. I knew this is where they were going to be, but I just like the Royals better in this matchup.
All right. Then we got the first one in the National League. I guess we should start with the Mets.
Yeah, I would say it's a good place to
Based
start.
on schedule. Mark, the Mets are in Milwaukee to play the Brewers.
Okay. We know what the Mets have done against the Brewers this year.
1-5.
They played them solidly. So this is a matchup I like. You got Luis Severino. He's out there. Louis, listen to me. It's just another game. You've been in the playoffs before. Just show up like you have this year. Key factors for this game is, Luis Severino's got to go at least 6 innings tonight. I don't think the Mets could do with him going any less. But the two people who need to hit are Alonso and JD Martinez. They got to keep moving those bases around as those ducks are on the pond, as our good friend Keith Hernandez, not a sponsor of us, likes to say all the time. For the Brewers, you can't bat an eye on what they've done all season. They destroyed the NL Central. They earned their spot. They lost probably their biggest piece in Christian Yelich, but they still pushed on. This is going to be a hard-fought, bloody 3-player series, but you're not going to get me to say anything more than the Mets win it in 2.
Let's go.
Go ahead.
I broke Mike on that one.
Oh my God.
You're not going to get anything more than the Mets in 2. Dan, go ahead. Oh.
This is the Mets series. Look, I talked about this. It'll eventually be released, but I did a SIP this morning with Bill Murphy. What I said was, I described it this way: the Mets should be the superior team, while the Brewers should be the inferior team on paper. The exact opposite happened. The exact opposite happened. Brewers are clearly the better team record-wise, and the fact that they won the division. Mets, they had to work their way. They had to really work hard. So I'm torn. Ultimately, I'm going to pick the Brewers. I think the Brewers is
Mhm.
I think the Brewers surprised a lot of people and really, really turned the tide to the National League. Like they really surprised the entire league this season with the team that they assembled that we thought was a retooling season. New manager, new philosophy, new everything. So, but, but, um, I'm picking the Brewers, but the Mets don't count them out because the Mets come in hot, really hot.
I think the best thing the Mets had happen to them was winning that game Sunday in Milwaukee,
Yeah,
because you don't want to go into a playoff series against a team you were 0 for against.
yeah.
Mark, you hit one of the guys who needs to hit in Pete Alonso. JD Martinez looks like he's starting to come around a little bit, but he's a key player because he's got the postseason experience. A lot of these guys have never been there. I
Hmm.
mean, we can say what we want about guys like Alonso and Nimmo, but they really only had 2022.
Right.
It's JD, it's Lindor. I think another key guy, and he had a really clutch at bat yesterday in the first game, Mark Vientos. If Mark Vientos can lay off those breaking balls down and away, which he's been flailing at,
Notorious. Yeah.
he makes the lineup deeper. His presence, and I'll say this: the other thing the Mets have to do, they got to find a way to control the Brewers' running game. The Brewers run, everyone
Between
runs.
Churio, that's just one. I
Yeah,
mean,
they were, I think it was 17 for 17 in solo bases against the Mets this year.
and
That
that's
can't happen in this series if the Mets were to win.
mhm.
I bleed the orange and blue like no other. The fan in me is won over. I'm taking the Mets. I'm going to take the Mets in 3 just because they know how to make me try to tear my hair out. They understand. But I'm going to go the Mets in 3. I think that here's the thing: the Mets can line up the rotation how they want. Severino today. I'm going to presume Mania for tomorrow, and I would presume if there's a game 3, it'd be David Peterson, just based on how
Yep,
he shoved on Sunday.
absolutely.
So I'm gonna go the Mets, and they'll wind up going to Philly, playing the Phillies. By the way, yeah, that. And then the last one we got the Padres and the Braves tonight, and we talked about it before. If there's no Chris Sale, the Braves are in trouble.
Massive trouble. It depends. I don't think it depends on the roster. I think the Padres are better. You know, the
Yeah.
Padres, they they're they're a top wild card for a reason. And they played in one of the toughest divisions in the National League, if not the toughest. You can argue whatever. But like I feel like the Padres, they against a really tough National League, were able to get the top wild card spot. Power hitting, pitching, if not power hitting, definitely just getting the production of runs. It's terrific stuff. Something the Braves struggled throughout the season. They struggled a lot. And you know, fighting tooth and nail just to get a wild card spot is not the recipe for success here. I'm going with San Diego no matter what, but I'm with you, Mike. If there's no Chris Sale, like it's gonna be really, really tough time for Atlanta.
I think you hit the nail on the head, though. The Padres have everything you want. Think about the top argument's sake, if this series goes 3 games. Dylan Cease,
Mhm.
Yu Darvish, Joe Musgrove. That's really good. Then you look at that bullpen where most of these guys throw 100 miles per hour, headlined by Tanner Scott and Robert
God, yeah.
Suarez. By the way, if they don't need a fourth starter, Michael King gets added to the bullpen. He had a great year. You know all about him, Dan. Him being a key piece in the Soto deal. Oh, and then by the way, you want runs? Luis Ariz won the batting title, feels like for the 8th straight year. Machado drove it over 100 runs again. Tatis is healthy. Cronenworth's back to being Luis. Jackson Merrill's a rookie of the year. The San Diego Padres are loaded.
Hats off to Jackson Merrill too. I'm sorry. What a run and what a run you had to go through. Paul Skeens was your top competition. Good job congratulations to Merrill.
Yeah, he should be your rookie of the year. No offense to Paul Skeens. Terrific mustache.
No offense at all.
But Dan, your other point, the Braves. The Sale injury sucks. But this lineup, it's just not the same without Acuna and Riley.
Yeah.
Ozuna had a phenomenal year. Albies is just coming back, but he's only hitting right-handed. He's not hitting from the left side. Olson's been on and off. Michael Harris has been the hottest hitter since he's come back into the lineup, but man, it's just, for me, it's just tough sledding. Although they at times will score a ton of runs. It's not what they used to be. They could, you expect 5 or 6 out of them. Now they scored 3 in the second game of the doubleheaders. They scored 10 runs in the 2 games, but man, they've had issues scoring runs. So
I mean, if they hit off the Padres pitching, that's a good sign. But I just don't know if I have that confidence with the Braves. I just don't. And if they're gonna need to stop the Padres hitting, because the Padres pitching is gonna come out with a huge bang.
yeah, listen, this should be a good one too. I'm gonna go the Padres in 2, and the Padres will go play the Dodgers in the NLDS.
The one team I did not want to face in the playoffs was the Padres. And I don't have to go into it, these guys said it all. Atlanta, congrats on making it where you did, but you're missing so many key pieces, and there's only so long you're going to be able to laugh at San Diego into. And a lot of me is happy they will go down in flames.
All right, so that's the wild card stuff. The divisional round will start Saturday. Competing with college football, I don't get it, but it is what it is. All right, the one other thing we wanted to touch on was late last night, the news broke that at 83 years of age, the all-time hit king Pete Rose passed away. I do have Pete Rose's numbers in front of me.
Just real quick, I have to head out real quick.
All right, Dan.
Dan, thank you for joining us. Talk to you soon.
Of course. Pete Rose, it's over. It's over. He's gone. It's sad. Sad day in baseball.
Mm-hmm.
And Pete Rose will never see the Hall of Fame while he's alive. Right the wrong. Swallow your pride. Get off the high ground. Put him in. Posthumously lift the lifetime ban as well.
Yeah.
I don't know if they can do that, but let's do it anyway. Again, it's all of it's ceremonious anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Got into the Hall of Fame, and let's start celebrating this beautiful game by telling the greatest stories of the greatest players who ever played it.
Well said.
That's the best tribute you can give to Rose.
100%.
He was that guy. All right. Take care, folks. Enjoy the playoffs. I'm so pumped. Let's go Yankees. And I want chaos with this wild card. I want all of them to go 3 games. How about that? Not gonna happen.
Dan has no
Bye-bye.
emotions. Take it easy, buddy. To Dan's point, I'll get into the statistics in a moment. The thing that gets me, and Dan's right, Rob Manfred should have lifted, or when Pete Rose filed for reinstatement, that should have been enough. He should have been welcome back, and he wasn't. And now we now know he'll never see the day where he can go into Cooperstown. Now, for those of you who don't know why Pete Rose was banned, turns out he was gambling before everything else turned into gambling. And and I hate bringing this up because I don't want to compare the two instances. Shohei Ohtani is going to win your National League MVP. How did we start the year talking about Shohei Ohtani? His interpreter. Gambling. We don't know the results of any findings because Major League Baseball never released them. Shohei Ohtani could have been legitimately gambling. His interpreter thrown in jail. And he's going to win the MVP. Shohei Ohtani one day will see the Baseball Hall of Fame. Pete Rose, who did it when you weren't just promoting you weren't promoting gambling as much as you do now. Every commercial is FanDuel, DraftKings, et cetera, not sponsors. The Hall of Fame is about the history of the game. Pete Rose is the all-time hits leader. Now, if you want to combine Ichiro's hits with Major League Baseball in Japan, go for it. Then Pete Rose is number 2. Who cares? The numbers speak for themselves. We're talking a 303 batting average, 375 on base, 400 slugging, 160 homers, 1,300 RBIs. Talked about the hits before, 4,256. Won an MVP, won a Rookie of the Year, 3-time World Series champ, was a World Series MVP, 2 Gold Gloves, a Silver Slugger, 3-time batting champ. You cannot tell the story of Major League Baseball without talking about Pete Rose. You cannot tell the story of those 1970 Cincinnati Reds without talking about Pete Rose. Dan said, get off your high horse. I'm going to word it very differently. Rob Manfred, for you not to allow bygones to be bygones when it comes to Pete Rose, and now you want to just promote gambling. Hell, in a few years, there's going to be a freaking team in Vegas in Major League Baseball, we think. Yet you won't put this man in the Hall of Fame. You know what? For shame. For shame, Rob Manfred. For shame. The Reds welcomed him back. The Reds have honored him. I think the Phillies honored him at one point as well. We have a better opportunity. Here's what you're saying about the Hall of Fame. We have a better opportunity of allowing these guys who took PEDs, who actually cheated the game. We're allowing them an opportunity to get in. Pete Rose is banned for life. It doesn't make any sense to me.
I wish I could be so light-worded like my cohort here. However, off the record, I stated my piece with Mike last night on my complete opinion on the matter. I'm a professional. So on the record, Pete Rose goes down, is the best hitter to have ever donned the diamond. I don't, and I don't take away from other great hitters who achieve certain milestones of 3,000 hits, etc., a double. I don't take that away from them. The number in itself says it all. Now, with like Mike has explained, that every other 5 seconds it's gambling this, it's gambling that, we're promoting this. We had the problem with Shohei in the beginning, which we all don't want to know the results anymore because we just want it to stay as it is. We were all calling since this was it. This was a put Pete Rose in. He had the opportunity. Now Pete Rose has passed on and will never get to feel that type of closure that he deserves to be able to have been taken, able to take the picture next to him of his bust in the Hall of Fame. Pete Rose, in my mind, was cheated, and because of a certain person who has a stick up their ass, couldn't take it out. Pete, hats off.
Just want to break this, and we'll continue the Rose conversation. Chris Sale is not, I repeat, Chris Sale not on the Braves wild card roster. So
that's big news.
That is huge news. You got to think now, Max Fried probably gets one of these 2 games.
Mm-hmm.
Schwellenbach, I don't think he's going to be able to because he pitched yesterday. So
I mean,
maybe Charlie Morton.
Well, Charlie Morton, I would think, will now be in there. And then you can think Schwellenbach can come out of the bullpen 1 inning if needed in game 3.
Yeah. Well, game 3, all hands on deck. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe Ronaldo Lopez as well, who just came back. That's a possibility too. But listen, the Pete Rose thing, it boggles my mind. It truly does because, listen, we get it. He did something wrong. Totally understand it. But hasn't he been out long enough where, you know what? I hate this in every sport. I especially hate this when it comes to pro wrestling, to be honest with you. I know there's not a real Hall of Fame. It's just a thing that they say. But I hate when a guy goes in posthumously because they never get to experience the moment that they truly deserve.
Mind you, but I'm sorry to cut you off, Mike.
No, go for
it. A lot of players who have been added, I'm not going to butcher the word anymore that I have, are players from way back when who have gotten the honor and recognition deserved. There's a lot more who still will and maybe will get one day. But the one person I never wanted to see was Pete Rose.
By the way,
sorry, Mike.
No. That's, trust me, you are fine. If we are going to allow these steroid-infested players in, and again, we don't know, none of them have gotten in yet. It's coming at some point. Pete Rose should be in the Hall of Fame.
Yes.
Pete Rose should be in the Hall of Fame. I think everyone who knows the history of the game, you can't tell it without Pete Rose. So, all right, that'll do it for that. One other piece of news: Farhan Zahidi out in San Francisco's president of baseball operations. They hired former Giant Buster Posey to take over the role. And according to his press conference today, he will hire a new GM as well. So Buster Posey is the new president of baseball ops for the San Francisco Giants. So
No. Buster Posey? No, I'm sorry. His name is on my rule. It should have been named the Halpern after the amount I went through at catcher. Nah,
Buster Posey, man,
sorry.
what a
Had
great
to have my
career.
one rant ever.
What a great career.
Yes.
All right. That'll do it for this edition of the Batter Up podcast, sponsored by the Dugout Mill. You got anything on the dugout you want to talk about?
Just be prepared, all. Leaf Electrum baseball graded cards coming back. That means that Ellie and Ricky dual auto, the Dylan Cruz, the Ethan Holidays, they're all on the way.
All right. Look forward to that. Look forward to what Dan talked about earlier about potential live streams during games or after. Check out the website, www.thesportsinsanitynetwork.com for great blogs, vlogs, planes, trains, and automobiles. We're live on YouTube right now. Like, subscribe, comment, join, whatever it is you do. Follow us on the socials, Facebook, The Sports Insanity Network, Twitter, S Insanity Real. You want to follow us personally, you can do that as well. And until next time, for the old ops guy, for Dan, I'm Mike. Enjoy the wild card weekend. And remember, let's go Mets. Talk sooner.